Hello everybody, my name is Patrick McCarthy. I've been a professional piercer for 35 years and now I'm the president and founder of Stiletto Piercing Supply. This is the first of many videos that myself and my colleagues are going to be producing to help show you what makes Stiletto different and what makes us so innovative in our industry. This very first video is going to be talking about our tapers. Our tapers come in 4 different types. The first type is standard pin. A standard pin taper goes on threaded jewelry, but you don't want to thread the jewelry on. A threaded taper, of course, you thread right onto the jewelry. A concave taper, which you use for captive beads and rings and that sort of stuff. And then when it comes to our good old press fit or threadless jewelry, whichever you want to call it. What makes Stiletto's tapers so different is we've standardized them. Up until Stiletto, no taper was standardized. Every single jewelry company made their own different taper. So when you order a 16 gauge taper, which is a 1.2 millimeter, the very beginning of it is going to be 2 gauges smaller. So this is going to start at 20 gauge, which is going to be 1 millimeter. Always 2 gauges smaller, and it graduates the entire length. So if you're ordering an 18 gauge taper or a 1 millimeter, all the way at the beginning, it's 22 gauge or a 0.6 millimeter. What makes Stiletto so different is, like I said, we've standardized these. Jewelry companies, they only did from here because it was a lot easier for them to do. All you had to do was grind this. If you're gonna taper someone from here to here to try to open up, their piercing to pop jewelry, this is gonna hurt a heck of a lot more than the gradual taper that Stiletto tapers have. One of the problems with this for a lot of the old time piercers, including myself, was we got used to stopping in the middle of the taper, which was still the gauge that the taper was. If you stop in the middle in Stiletto, it's going to be a gauge smaller, so you might get a little bit of bleeding. How we fix that is always at the end, 8 millimeters from the end is going to be the size of the taper. So it's a lot easier to taper when you only have to push through the last 8 millimeters than if you have to taper all the way from the middle. So remember that. Stop at the last 8 millimeters of Stiletto's tapers and you won't have any bleeding issues. Until recently, all of Stiletto's tapers were a 2-inch taper. At a suggestion of one of our long-term clients, they suggested we make a 3-inch taper. That allowed us to be able to go down another gauge to it was even a slower graduation now from the beginning point to the end of the taper. This makes it a lot easier for you to open up a piercing that someone had to take out if they had to have an MRI or something. Before, you used to have to use 1 or 2 tapers in order to try to get it to taper back up using smaller and smaller tapers. With our opening tapers, we make that a lot easier. Our opening tapers now come in 18 gauge and 16 gauge in concave and press fit. All of Stiletto's tapers come pre-sterilized and coated, making it super easy for you to use and a lot more comfortable for the client, knowing that nobody has used this taper and it's been sterilized in an EO gas facility. Once you use Stiletto standardized tapers, you will understand why, for the last 3 years, we have become the go-to company for tapers in our industry.